Hello students, good morning everyone. Today we will move on to the chapter number 5 in that pressure measurement. So in the last video or in the last class we have seen that we started the chapter number 5 sensors and applications of sensors and transducer. So in that first video in chapter number 5 we have completed level measurement. So in the last class, what is the meaning of level? What are the needs of level? What are the detailed classifications of level measurement? And also we studied one by one classifications of level measurement. So in that first classification, we have seen that in level measurement, float type, capacitance type, ultrasonic level gauge or detector type, and radiation level indicator type. Okay, so these are all the types of what level measurement. So today's class we will discuss one by one pressure measurement and types. So first of all we will see what is the definition of pressure. As you know, pressure is defined as the amount of force applied to the surface, the amount of force applied to the surface, all distributed over it, and it is measured as force per unit area. We can take two physical quantities. One is for what? Force, and the other one is for what? Area. Okay, so you have to apply some force to that surface. So its unit is, or it's measured as force per unit area. Again, you have taken the two ratios, pressure equal to force divided by area. So force can be measured in terms of Newton and area in terms of square meters. So next we will move on to the pressure units. What are the pressure units? The pressure measurement units are British or SI unit. You can be measured in two ways. One is for what? British system, another one is for what? SI system. So that is the international system or system international in terms of matrix. So next, in British a pressure unit is measured in PSI. So that stands for pounds per square inch. Pounds per square inch. Second one is the in matrix or SI unit. Pressure is measured in Newton per square meter. So N/meter square, that is a Newton per square meter. So there are two types of the units in pressure we are going to measure. One is for what? British system, and another one is for what? SI system, that is the system international or international system in terms of matrix. In British you can measure in terms of PSI, and in matrix or SI unit you can measure in terms of Newton per square meter. So PSI stands for pounds per square inch. Okay, so next we will move on to the classifications of pressure measurement. Classifications of pressure measurement. So what are the different classifications or techniques of pressure measurements? So in that first one, burden tube. Okay, so again this burden tube is divided into four types. First one is the C type, second one is the helical type, third one is the spiral type, and fourth one is the twisted type. So in our syllabus we are having only one type, that is what? C type of burden tube. So if you want to discuss the helical, spiral and twisted, so only shapes are changing. So all the constructions and working are same. So apart from this one we are having types, that is the bellows, diaphragm, bellows, diaphragm. These are also types of what? Pressure measurement. So first we will discuss construction and working of C-type burden tube. So this is the diagrammatic representation of C-type burden tube, or this is the reference diagram which you are going to discuss the construction and working of C-type burden tube. Okay, so basically it looks like a C, so that's why the given name is what? C-type burden tube. Okay, so first we will discuss the construction and working, so then we'll move on to the advantages, disadvantages and application part. So as shown in the figure, it consists of C-type burden tube, is made up of some materials like copper, brass, stainless steel, phosphorus and bronze. It consists of some materials. So that material name is called as a copper, brass, stainless steel, phosphorus and bronze. Second point, the C-type burden tube consists of one end of the tube is closed and other end of the tube is fixed. So one end of the tube is closed and other end of the tube is fixed. So another end of the tube is fixed. So there are two ends. One is for what? One end of the tube is closed, other end of the tube is fixed. Okay. So in that closed end, connected to the pointer with the help of pinion and geared sector. As you can observe in the diagram, pinion and gear sector can be connected to the closed end. The calibrated scale and the pointer is provided to indicate the reading of the pressure. So if you want to measure the pressure, you need one pointer and calibrated scale. So that purpose we can connect that one also, pinion, through that pointer and calibrated scale. Okay, so next point, the pressure which is to be measured is applied to the burden tube through fixed end. So whatever we classified, one is for what? Closed end, another one is for what? Fixed end. Through that closed end you can connect different parts, and through that fixed end you can apply the pressure. Okay, so through that fixed end you can apply the pressure through that burden tube. So when the pressure enters, so whenever your pressure enters with the tube gets straight out proportional to the applied pressure. Straight out means what? It will changes the shape. Okay. Next point, this will causes the movement of closed end. So this will directly causes the movement of closed end. So whatever you are going to connecting that pinion or gear sector or pointer or mechanical link, okay, this will causes the closed end and given to the pointer through mechanical linkage. So that is gear sector and pinion. So in between gear sector and the closed end you are having one link. So that link name is called as what? Mechanical link. Okay, you can connect through that one only. Next, the pointer moves on calibrated scale in terms of pressure. So the pointer will be move on calibrated scale in terms of pressure. So whenever you are going to apply the pressure through the fixed end, it will changes the shape and it will provide some reading. So that may be high pressure or that may be low pressure. So through that calibrated scale you can measure the maximum and minimum deflection. So whatever you are going to apply that pressure, it will be directly proportional to that applied pressure. Okay. So next we will move on to the advantages. What are the advantages of C-type burden tube? So first one is the low cost. Second one is the simple construction. First one is the low cost and second one is the simple construction. So next one, disadvantages. What are the disadvantages of pressure in terms of C-type burden tube? Performance decreases under vibrations. Next, applications. Used in laboratories, used in pressure gauge, used in time tested application. So nowadays you are going to use these laboratories and use for pressure gauge and use in time tested applications. So best example you can take, so whenever you are going to fill in your bicycle for pressure, you can through that pump you can apply through that hand or you can apply through that feet or foot. Okay, So whenever you are applying onto that pressure, so the pressure will move through that pipe and you will get some pressure at the closed end. Okay, so that will give some range. It may be maximum or minimum, or you can use it in digital for four-wheeler. Whenever you need a pressure for what front tire as well as what rear tire, sorry, at the back tire. Okay, so that purpose you are going to filling the pressure through that put pump or a pump. So it is having one display. So that display you are having two types of the meters. One is for what kg, another one is for what in terms of pounds per inch square. So kg per, as you know, Newton per meter square or pounds per square inch, or you can know in terms of kg also. Okay, kg per centimeter square you can use it also. In real time application you are going to use for what this C-type Bourdon tube. Whenever you are going to fill your pressure through that all the tires, you are going to use for what this kind of the applications. Okay, next we will move on to the bellows. So this is also one of the type, that is the second type of pressure measurement. So as shown in the diagram, you can observe here also you are having what fixed end as well as what closed end. So at the closed end you are having what pointer and calibrated scale. So at the fixed end you are having what one pressure you are going to apply. Okay, so what happen if I apply my pressure to the bellows? Okay, so again we'll move on to the construction and working of this bellows. So first point, bellows is series of circular parts as shown in the figure. So one by one you are maintaining or you are keeping your bellows 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. In n number of series you can apply. So bellows is a series of circular parts as shown in the figure. So these circular parts are joined or formed in such a way that they are expanded or compression. The materials commonly used are brass, copper, nickel, stainless steel, bronze, etc. So these are the materials you are going to use for what? Bellows. Next point, when there is a no pressure applied to the bellows, so whenever you are going to not applying your pressure to the bellows, there is a no any movement of the wall element. There is no any movement for what? This bellows. The pressure, whenever the pressure is applied to the bellows, so whenever pressure applied to the bellows, there is a expand or compress on the wall of the bellows. So there is a expand or a compression on the wall of the bellows. Then the bellows gives reading so that the pointer indicates calibrated scale. So it will provide the expand or compression by using maximum or minimum deflection through that pointer as well as what a calibrated scale. So best example, you can take one marriage function. So in that marriage function, you are having one queue for what? Lunch. So in that lunch, on that table you are maintaining some plates. So that plates, so for example they are doing some bunches, so that in that bunches they are doing arrangement of series way 1, 2, 3, 4 what up to what 150 plates. After that they will provide again 150 plates. So whenever that queue is there, so one by one person will take that plates. Okay, so what will happen? So whenever you are collecting that plates one by one, so that compression will be happen. So once it will finish that plates, again you are arranging some 50 plates. So that is what you are expanding. Okay, so that may be one of the best example you can take for what? Bellows. Okay, so I think you can understand this point taking one example. I hope you people will understand. Next we'll move on to the advantages. What are the advantages of bellows? First one is the cost is the medium or moderate. It is able to deliver high force. Next one is the disadvantage. First one, high pressure measurement is not possible. Second one, limited materials are available. Second one is the limited materials are available. These are the advantages and disadvantages of bellows. Next one is the applications. It is useful for absolute and differential pressure measurement. It is used in medium pressure range. It is used in medium pressure range. So next we will move on to the last type of pressure measurement, that is the diaphragm. Okay, so as shown in the diagram or as shown in the figure, you are having two diagrams. One is for what? Float type diaphragm without corrugation. Another one is the corrugated type diaphragm with corrugation. These are the two diagrams. Okay, you can compare these two. There is a difference with corrugate without corrugate. So that is the flat type and corrugated type. Okay, so we will discuss in a brief way. So what is the operating principle of this one? First, the pressure to be measured is applied to the diaphragm. The pressure to be measured is applied to the diaphragm. It causes to deflection. It causes to the deflection. The deflection is proportional to the applied pressure. Okay, means what? So whenever you take one river examples, so whenever you are going to watch that river, so in that river, so all the of that water should be move on one direction, flowing through that one directions. Or maybe you can consider the water rivers also some constants. So you want to be deflect that one. So take one stone and throw into the river. What will happen? It will disperse or it will changes the shape. Oh, it will deflect. So that is the one of the type, flat and corrugated. If it is a constant, that river of that water is a constant, that is a flat. Okay, so if you take the stone and throw into the water, what will happen? Again it will give some deflections, it will changes. So that is the corrugated type. Okay, next we'll move on to the construction and working. First one, the movement of diaphragm is depends on thickness and diameter. So first of all, it will be depends on what? Your thickness and diameter. So that's why you have taken the round shape, that diameter as well as when you are having what? Air pressure, that is the thickness. Depends on two parameters. One is the thickness and the other one is the diameter. Second point, the movement in the diaphragm is small. The movement in the diaphragm is small. So whatever you are getting that deflection, so that of the diaphragm is small. The construction of the diaphragm as shown in the figure. The diaphragms are classified into two types. One is the flat type, another one is the corrugated type. Flat type, that is a mistake. They have taken the float type. That is not a float type, it is a flat type. So in flat type diaphragm, the surface area is very small, which gives smaller deflection. In flat type diaphragm, surface area is very small, so it will give smaller deflection. In corrugated type diaphragm, the surface area is large, which gives greater deflection. The surface area is large, which gives a greater and greater deflection, because the area should be more and more. So that's why it will give greater deflection compared to flat type. Okay, so this is the construction and working of diaphragm. Next we'll move on to the advantages. So what are the advantages of diaphragm? First one, small size. Second one, cost is medium. Next we move on to the disadvantages. It is difficult to repair. You cannot repair this one. It is very difficult. Next, output may be affected due to vibration and shock. Output may be affected due to vibrations and shock. So next, applications. What are the applications of diaphragm? First one, it is used in high over range. It is used in high over range characteristics. Second one, it is used in absolute and differential pressure. So this is briefly we are discussed classifications of pressure measurements. I hope you people will understood these points. So in the next class we will discuss one more concept, that is the temperature measurement or temperature classifications. Thank you.